MPSD special July 22nd board meeting to order. And if you would all stand, the pledge. Appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Lori, if you would take the roll.
Mr. Halo.
Here.
David Bowman.
Here.
Biff Hansen.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Mary Luffy Bonnick.
Present.
Shaw.
Here.
Carrie Trask.
Here.
God said, let there be air. And behold, it was very good.
My cousin was afraid of.
Next, we're going to be saying, "My God is cold in your words."
I will not be saying that.
All right. We have one regular board thing to take care of, a personnel report. So,
Yeah.
Stacy, you're up.
Thanks. And especially this time of the year when we're trying to get people hired, I appreciate being able to both board meetings so we can get people there. Patricia Israel is our new associate principal at Lincoln High School. She was planning on being here tonight and got a flat tire. So she had to take care of that, but she assured me she's going to come to the next board meeting to introduce herself and to meet all of you. But we're excited to have her on staff. You can see we're finding some people. We still need some special ed teachers for sure is an area of need, and you can see a lot of those that are at the bottom of open positions. We are in the process of interviewing for and having some candidates special ed teachers to be our biggest area though. And you can see we did hire one special ed teacher who's going to be on a license with stipulations, who's already enrolled in a program. So keeping up with all those folks as well.
Cool.
Any questions?
Is
there anything official we have to do with that?
Yeah, we have
We have
to.
motion?
Make a motion to
Associate principal.
Second.
Can I ask who made the motion?
Keith Shaw.
Okay, thank
And we'll give it to Ann, because she drove fast today. Not overly fast. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. And that being done, we will move on to our business for this evening. As we use WASB to help us find the superintendent, they also provide services for the board. So as Lee and I talked and talked with Patty, we thought it'd be a good idea to just go through some things. And I was thinking about this today, ladies and gentlemen. We have an opportunity to, I look at this board and we've got former educators, we have business people, we have HR people, we have college instructors. We have a group of people, and I think you would all agree over the last couple months that we've had some discussions, but people think and they kind of honor what people say. And I appreciate that. So today's educational aspect will help us as a board maybe make some more decisions and clear up some things. And with that being said, do you want it or turn it over to Patty right away? Okay, go ahead.
So, thank you. It's nice to be back with those of you that I spent lots of hours with earlier this year and a few that I spent just a short period of time with. Today, I tend to overplan, so if we don't get through everything, I will make sure that we get through some essentials and we also cover the superintendent evaluation because you get a free subscription to that for 1 year. After that, it's renewable on an annual basis for $390. So with that, you get everything that comes with the superintendent eval, and we'll be going through that. So part of our objective is that today I want you to have a chance to get to know each other a little bit better. So some of you have been on the board for a while, some of you are brand new, and also for us to see the diversity that exists within your team. So the first activity that I would like you to do is to pair up with someone Could be the person right next to you or however you want to do it. And I want you to ask them these 3 questions. And they should give a single answer, not a dissertation, okay? So just a single answer. When did they first become connected to the Manitowoc district or community? And those questions I'll leave up on the screen. What is their why? So why do they dedicate time to serve the community on the school board or as superintendent? And what's one thing, you all bring many things to this leadership team, and I'm going to refer to this whole group as the leadership team, but share one thing that you bring to this leadership team that will be helpful as you go forward. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to quickly interview each other, and then you will be introducing the person you interviewed. They will not be talking about themselves, okay? Go.
We're picking to know each other better because of campaigning. We know you two the least, so we're coming over by you. So I know you wanted to pair up next to each
So
other.
one of you needs to go over there, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, she wanted,
I know him
yeah.
really well.
Oh, you said Keith because you're coming to talk to him.
Yes. Sorry.
Pressing one.
I know David very well, so I want to grab somebody to say. Okay.
I hired him.
Like kick in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Remember the questions? First connection.
We got him on the first page.
Oh, we do. You want me to go first?
Yeah. Graduate from here.
No, actually, at first. At McKinley. At McKinley. 1973.
72.
Special education.
Okay.
And then, worked my way through.
But that wasn't for the job that you had.
I came in.
2, what is your why?
Administration from medicine, special education.
Because when I was a teacher, it was first.
The why did you dedicate?
Regular, special was medicine, and Milwaukee was regular.
Okay.
Well,
The other way
I started the school board.
Madison was regular.
That frustration.
Specialist.
It's my own. Why?
And then share one thing, attitude, still experience.
Do something back for the community. 2,
There was a vacancy.
back to the
I
community.
just run for the assignment.
Because it was evidence,
Experiences, you know, maybe
education.
I should.
There was no educator on the board at that time.
So I was asking.
I think I bring is
23 years ago, I got a job in the community.
Oh, when you were.
Yeah, when I was-
All right.
You should be going on to your second person.
That is my why.
Okay. So when I 19 Washington.
I wanted
I went to a
at the
graduated in 91.
One thing.
I wanted to combat the idea.
So, family of teachers from Lincoln, family of teachers. So I have.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It was,
The challenges that educators face. Personal.
there was a lot of,
And,
You were seeing that.
one of the reasons I
same
wanted.
as you.
Like, we were swinging to the left, and we'd swing way to the,
Sometimes I was at in the morning,
not helpful.
throwing up. So,
You know,
that,
how do we all become winners?
I,
The game is for school boards and government.
however, chose to.
You know,
give
Yeah, you're talking about zero.
Right.
Which is true to me crazy all the way along.
Yeah, it's,
And that run was on success.
yep,
That's,
knew it would.
share one thing.
What's your magic?
one of those,
One more minute.
make the Republicans spend money
I'm an outsider.
but it was.
Outsider.
Finance.
Yep. Unless you,
That's fine.
unless your grandparents
I know.
were in Manitowoc,
I think you bring
or an outsider.
So you came in,
I used to.
2011.
The WIC,
I love
young adults, because as an adult educator, the WIC
John Lincoln.
for the middle
For it.
school.
Right.
I love,
And also the other
and hold on to what was great.
yeah, you have.
2001.
Negative. Came in with a big group. No.
Well, Lewis and Clark traveling west, and they thought they were going to
Okay, we're going to start. Let's start with Lee and Jeff, okay?
All right. What else? What else?
Okay,
Okay, so this is Biff Hansen. Biff came to
I'm shocked.
public school district in 1960 as a kindergarten student at McKinley School.
Met a man.
Miss Rothenbach, did I get that right? Rothenbach was his teacher. Secondly, his why, particularly becoming an educator, he had an experience at Riverview School where he was basically shown a staff that was very kid-centered, and it had a huge impact on him in deciding to go into education. And what he brings to
Did you tell him who your supervising teacher was?
oh boy.
I am.
And he brings knowledge of the community and has been involved in it for many years, as well as his passion for every kid.
okay, Biff, Lee.
Superintendent Lee Tennis came to Manitowoc in 2001. And I think that winter, you actually were sledding with our kids on the hills at Wilson. There was a bunch of new staff members and they came over to help out because I had no idea what I was doing with kids. The why, sense of the greater good. And that creates the greater good in more people. Not just for the district, but for all of Manitowoc. And I think that's important. It's kind of a Uper thing, I think, too. The greatest good.
Yeah.
His community connections that he's developed over the year for the last one, the one thing is impressive. In one of our meetings, somebody made a comment about people in Manitowoc aren't open and don't accept people. Well, he's proven that completely wrong, because into this community, I think in our process of hiring you, we've seen that support from the community on what you've done over the years.
Okay. Biff, choose the next pair to go.
Bowman.
Boom.
Mr. Abel came here in the 80s to help paint a house. So talking about the job, it was the community, he liked the community, so then he got the job here later. His why on the school board, as a teacher, he felt frustration in the way that the board was operating with the rest of the district and the community, and had frustrations with that and thought he could help remedy the situation. And his secret power is he has a broad range of governance experience.
Thank you. David came here first 23 years ago, which would be 2002. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. And for a job with the district. Why did he decide to join the board? Because he's kept seeing and was getting fed up with the zero-sum mentality of you either win or you lose, but not enough working together, which I think is really nice to fix, at least at some level of government. And favorite is, what is the special thing, his magic power that he brings? This one made me laugh. He said he's an outsider. And I know how he feels, because unless your grandparents were born here, everybody says, oh, but you're not from here, right? You're, like, you could be here 27 years and you're still not from here. Correct.
Or if you're born and you leave, then you come back, you're an outsider.
That's like, I see people like that and I say, it's like the mafia. I want out, but it keeps pulling me back in.
Okay, pick the next group.
I'll let David do it.
David, okay.
Okay, Representative Shaw started in education in 1973. Started in Manitowoc, 1973. Went to Madison for his education degree, and then Milwaukee for special education emphasis. He became went on to Lincoln principal. And for number 2, his why, he was one of the early educators on the board. He saw there was a lack of representation from an educator perspective. So he wanted to contribute that way, and that it was his way to give back to the community. And his things that he has, abilities, experience in the school district, and leadership abilities from being a principal, from being in the community, so.
Yeah. Ann Holzen, went to Washington Junior High in 1988. So I was here in 1973. I don't even think she was born when I started in this district. Maybe. But anyway, graduated from Lincoln High School in 1991. And she is from a family of educators, which she never went to be an educator, but always tweaked that little interest of what it was like to be an educator and a strong relationship to that field. The why, she wanted to get back to the community, and even more is her experience of wanting to do good for the people in this community, as well as her need to do that and serve that purpose. She is a strong business and adult education leader. She feels that that is one of the strengths that she can bring to the board, but I also think that there's a strength that she brings to the board, and that's a level of attitude. I think when anybody on this board has seen our board over the past few years, the attitude of camaraderie and the strength of what we needed to bring a cohesive board together is very important, and I think she brings that to this board a great deal.
Okay, choose the next group.
Want me to go? Mary, who I thought had been in Manitowoc for a long time, didn't come until 2011. But has spent pretty much her whole adult life in education. I mean, all of her childhood in education, I guess, too. But she got interested in the board by being kind of turned off by what was happening. You know, things were falling apart, and you know, there was all kinds of, well, there wasn't so much dissension because for a while I was the only person that voted no on anything. But it was pretty bad, and especially during COVID. And so Mary, who has some experience in HR, but is also been a teacher, and you've been a principal too, right?
Assistant principal.
Assistant principal.
And a director of curriculum.
Director of curriculum, yeah. So, you know, thought that the whole process going on here needed help. And has, you know, has stepped up and has got elected as providing that help. And I think her secret power, which is not so secret, is lots of experience, lots of thinking about education, lots of variety of roles in education. And so, you know, kind of a Renaissance member.
Renaissance.
Yeah.
So Carrie is also not a local.
Yeah, I'm not a local.
1972. He
Not local either.
I won't say how old I was,
Oh, all right.
but I was just a wee child. For a job.
Yeah,
To work
for a
at
job.
UW Manitowoc,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And profess his great knowledge. So in 2021 or 2020, he ran for state assembly and did not win. And I think it would be very hard for a Democrat to win in that race. And so someone said, hey, there's a vacancy on school board, consider it, and he jumped at that opportunity. Which we're lucky to have him on this team. And he said it and to describe me, but himself as well. Education his whole life has been his thing. So he's bringing that skill and that dedication to the board.
Yeah. I was attracted to when Lisa Johnson called me and said, oh, come on, we want you to run. You've got a good name recognition from the election. And I thought, oh, God, you know, I'm supposed to be retired. But, you know, I really did think, because the clouds were already forming, and I thought, well, you know, I could represent a point of view that might be helpful. But mostly, I wanted to try to run for election and win, for a change.
Still a partial
Yep.
term?
Yep.
Because I remember doing it was during COVID, and we did your interview virtual.
Yep, right.
Because after that interview, I was waiting for that to finish so I could go find out. I had a new grandchild that was find out what it was. Because we couldn't go to the hospital at that time.
Oh,
Baby.
Okay, so the purposes of tonight's workshop is typically, this is a transition meeting that we do when we have conducted a search, and we offer it. Not everybody takes advantage of it, but when Lee and Biff reached out, I said, well, we can address some of those things in this transition meeting. So we're gonna talk a little bit, we did introductions, working together as a leadership team. We'll do a little overview of WASB's essential framework elements of governance. Then we're gonna talk about board and superintendent roles and responsibilities, levels of authority, and norms. Some communication needs that maybe we need to work out or we don't. And then talk about a board self-evaluation process and a superintendent evaluation process. And then, of course, when I talked with Lee and Biff, there is a goal-setting process to this evaluation thing, but they decided that that goal-setting process would probably wait till October because they'll have some important data pieces coming in, and there'll be some updates with the strategic plan, so it makes sense to have all of that data together before you actually go and set some goals. So one of the things is I'm just gonna put these team commitments up here. I call them the Bs. So just for today, be respectful, non-judgmental. I don't think we're gonna have any issues. You guys seem to be really working well together. Be a good listener and open to hearing all points of view. Be curious and open to new learning. Be authentic and welcome that from others, and be purposeful and to the point. Like I said, I have a lot of material to go through, but there are conversations we will start, and you certainly can go into them more in depth at other points of time. So, what is it like to be in a relationship with you? Has anyone done the north, south, east, west before? Okay. In your packet, you have a compass sheet that looks like this, okay? I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to go ahead. I don't want you to overthink any of this. You're going to be selecting pairs of words and which ones are important to you. That describes you more than what the other one does, okay? So you'll do the first test, which is north or south. You'll do the second test, which is east or west. You total up your numbers at the bottom. And then on the back of the second page, you will be adding up your numbers. And it's then going to tell you which direction on the compass you tend to fall. And we will then have you organize yourselves by those and see where we have commonalities and where we have differences. When you get done with your, while we're waiting for everyone to get done, I want you to put your name at the top of this note card, and I want you to put down 2 things about yourself that you strongly believe nobody else here knows about you. Okay, it's going to be a little starter that we have throughout the meeting. So 2 things that nobody probably knows about you. Put your name at the top, and I'll be collecting those from you.
Personal, educational.
Whatever you want to put, whatever you want to put. I had someone last night put that they were a jockey with the Greyhounds. Nobody figured that one out.
Mary, we did this at the block party years ago.
Yeah.
Shannon.
Okay. So when you have this done, I want you to put it at the front of the table, and I'll come around and pick it up, and I'm gonna have Lori do one too. Okay?
You want our name on this?
Yeah, put your name up at the top, because people will be guessing when I read the statement, and they get 3 guesses.
Oh, no, sorry. Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, no, you do.
There's,
Do this page too.
you do that picture? Okay.
You're a science person. Science is math.
24 on each one, right? Yep. Okay, so what did I not do here?
Yeah, so you can count one and subtract from 24 to get the other. Don't count them both, that'd be crazy.
No, that's not me, though. That's not me.
We just had two things, right? Two things for this.
And then you have to, yeah, 2 things on your card.
Okay.
Yeah, just 2 things.
What if you're both? You're both. You're not both.
Struggle with that too, no? She said, don't think about it.
Don't overthink it.
Circle and move on.
Should be what impresses you the most. That's what's going
I
on.
don't think I'm efficient.
Hey, I'm gonna give you 1 more minute.
Especially when you're determined to make sure your result is that you are north by northeast.
You're resolving
Alfred
that.
Hitchcock.
That's what I want to be.
That's
In honor of Alfred Hitchcock, absolutely.
So which one did you want to be?
I want to be north by northwest.
Well, that's what I am, and I didn't get the answer. Or am I supposed to say that, sorry?
We'll determine where you go after we get everybody done here.
Everybody's always telling you where to go.
My apologies.
Thank you.
I gotta look. Let the teacher look.
And the things about us can be anything.
Yes,
Just
anything,
And then we have to do this little card?
yes.
we're supposed to put our name.
Put your name at the top here. Okay, now I'm going to be asking you to go and stand by the sign that is closest. If by chance, let's say you're east-south, but you also are southeast, that you are tied, then read the descriptor underneath and say which one really makes the most sense to you. So south and southeast and southwest and west-south are all there. East are over here. North is over here.
North is that way, so, north is over there.
I was not West Campus.
I'm a northwest. Something like this. 20 north. I was 18.
I was not. I was 14.
What if I don't want a career?
I was
This is pure west here.
pure west. That is actually northwest. Yeah, that's. Actually did this with the color thing.
Yeah.
And then we got,
I've done these.
I was put in with a bunch of people and it's like, these people, right? We're all the same.
Okay,
We're all pretty.
so read the area that you are and have and talk about when you're in a group. Otherwise, you get to do this by yourself and you're in a group.
Talk to yourself, buddy.
Read the description underneath, determine what it is about your area that people misunderstand. What do they misunderstand about your area? And then I'm going to ask you to take a spokesperson. The spokesperson will say what the category is, we'll read the descriptors, and then we'll share what it is that people misunderstand about your personality type.
What people think about us is sometimes care about that.
Okay, so you two can go together. You can be similar. That's the order.
You need to stand by your two highest.
Stand by your
Sign.
Let's figure it out.
Carrie needs
help.
We also did this as like a couples thing. So they said, when you get out of balance, and these things,
You are-
people think that I'm an asshole.
Well,
I say, no, you're wrong. We don't have time for you right now. Here's what we're doing.
well, there for west. And
Exactly. Right.
I'm just putting
So,
it out.
no. Like if you're out of, if you're in balance.
We're drivers.
Right.
We want to get things done right.
Oh my God. I was only 1 point away.
Okay,
Oh, is that interesting?
Terry, what they're talking about is the descriptors and what do people misunderstand about things.
Now the station.
were you?
I get that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's how I perceive it.
One of the things is just.
I don't know.
That was for sure today at nice that
Agreed.
Southwest. What do people misunderstand? Interesting.
And then for me, it's,
Yeah, what is your descriptor?
no,
And then what do
I'm
people
okay.
misunderstand about your personality?
Let me get my glasses.
It's not time sensitive like that. You know? Oh, yeah. 'Cause when you have procedures to.
This is like that.
I'm a North collaborative.
You're a Northeast? Okay.
The planning thing, love it.
It depends on what kind of
Right here,
person.
right here.
Because like when I was teaching, everything was
Job exam.
it was magic all the time because. Yeah.
I like.
Okay. Lori says she's a Northeast, which means she works hard, she's productive, takes responsibility, is serious, she catches mistakes, she finishes tasks. I think that probably fits her pretty well, doesn't it? Okay. And it also is a Northeast, is structured, detailed, organized, that kind of thing. Okay, let's go to this group. Somebody read, are you all the same one? You're all Northwest? Okay, interesting. The rest of you pay attention to this crew?
You should.
Okay?
I would never have guessed that.
These are underneath Northwest. Read the word.
Assertive, decisive, flexible, creative, adventurous.
Okay. And what do they misunderstand about you?
Mentioned some of the things that we said. What did you say?
I stand across that.
Guys, can we listen?
And I didn't like that we're indecisive.
Sorry, we don't listen very much.
Or our pet peeve is not always indecision.
Okay.
Because I'm okay depending on the circumstance. If a
Okay.
decision needs to be made and under a time constraint, then I am not happy with it. If it's a strategic visioning or collaboration exercise like this,
Not West South.
then
Okay. Anything else?
Talk show host.
Well, they said that spontaneity is in there under West, and I'm not spontaneous. in those
Okay.
things.
Okay.
If it's not planned, I don't.
But when you look at the typical jobs of a Northwest, coach, manager, project leader, chief executive, those all come in that area, don't they? Okay, let's go to this group who's still socializing. Okay, what is the descriptor for you guys?
Carrie and I were Southwest.
Okay, and there's your descriptor under Southwest. What
Friendly,
does it say?
caring, flexible, creative, adventurous.
Okay, and what do people misunderstand about you?
I'm not friendly at all. I didn't understand, we both, for Southwest, it said a salesperson, but both of us would never.
Biff, every time you walk on stage, you're a
You
sales.
are selling.
That is selling.
I said
really.
missionary.
He sold books.
But a secular
I'm
human.
wrong.
Yeah.
like use.
And missionary,
I'm
service.
south.
You're south?
Yeah, I mixed them up.
Okay, so you're south.
I'm
what?
southeast.
You're southeast. Would you
Get over here, me too.
Yeah.
Hey, so go over there with Keith, so he's got somebody to work with. Okay,
I'm southeast.
so read what southeast is.
Southeast says friendly, caring, structured, detailed, and organized.
Okay, that makes sense. And what do people misunderstand about your group?
Well, and the descriptors, I could probably do all those things. I would not be a very good coach because I'm not very athletic. But I could certainly help somebody be a coach. But I think the job descriptors, I probably fit me pretty yeah. Peace loving, I'd rather peace love than fight. I'm structured, I'm friendly, logical. Yeah, I guess that fits me pretty good.
Okay,
Yeah, much more than a military officer, that would not be. I'm looking at that,
okay. So we have a group over here that probably is adventurous. So is this group over here adventurous. This group tends to like to make sure everybody's point of view is heard and that people are being nice to each other and whatever. Sometimes people think you guys aren't being so nice because you're just focused on get the job done, let's take a risk, let's, get it going. And that group over there says, you two groups, we need to have organization, we need to have a structure, we need to have processes. So you need to have all of those things. Now, sometimes when people have done this activity, they just do north, south, east, and west. And it's very confusing because people will go, well, I'm a little bit east, but I'm a little bit north. So this particular activity that I put together has where you can be in some of those different areas, okay? So it just says that this is the way you're most comfortable. It doesn't mean that you can't develop the other skills or appreciate the other skills. Okay, you can go back, you can keep these. Want to try it on somebody at home, you can.
That makes more sense.
And Carrie, I do need your card here with 2 things about yourself. Two things about yourself. And while he's doing that, we're going to go on.
People don't know.
So this is WASB's essential elements of governance. What we did is we looked at all of the research that is out there about effective governance. There's been research that's been done by Dr. Michael Ford at UW Oshkosh. There's been research that's been done by the Center for Public Education. And this essential elements of governance is what we focus a lot of our workshops on and our work with school boards and with superintendents. So you can see as part of your role as a board, your central mission is governing for high levels of learning for all children. That's what everything should be funneling into. What contributes to that? Quality leadership, which is everybody from you as the board to Lee as the superintendent, to the administrative team, to department chairs, to your district office leaders, even down to the classroom where your teachers are considered the leaders in their classroom. To the left is communication and engagement, and that is two-way. How are you communicating with your public, with your stakeholders? How do you invite feedback in from them? How do you engage them? That includes your students and your staff and your parents and families and community. The next one going around is accountability. That is the one that most school boards are most familiar with because they're elected by their constituents, and it's fiscal responsibility and accountability, but it's also instructional accountability because your community is looking for you to educate all children. And then the last one is a strategic focus on the future, because you cannot just live today. We used to talk about strategic plans going out for 5 to 7 years. You no longer can do that. The max is 3 because the world is so constantly changing. So a strategic focus on the future is when you make a decision, while it may be a decision that needs to be made for today, you also have to think, what is the longevity of this decision going forward? How will it impact the rest of the organization? You have a copy of this that you can look at later in your folder. It actually gives you more of the things that are underneath each of those categories. So for instance, when we go out as governance consultants, many times boards will call us up or superintendents and they'll say, we need you to come in and talk about accountability and data things. We need you to come in and talk about communication strategies. We need you to come in and talk about strategies to improve learning for all students, or how to a governance culture. So that helps us develop the topics in the area that they want to look at. So quality leadership, tonight we're going to go over, like I said, the board superintendent roles and responsibilities. We'll look at the law, but we'll also go as to what are some common things that occur. Talk about what makes for a strong board superintendent relationship, communications and trust. We'll talk about board norms a little bit. You have a policy for a code of conduct, but I doubt that you read it every time before a board meeting. So we'll talk about why board norms are important. And then we will talk about the self-evaluation process for both the board and the superintendent. So here's some of the research that's out there, especially that's been kind of gathered about effective school board characteristics. And Lori has the full-size PowerPoint of this. Did you say you loaded it into their?
I didn't because I made copies.
Okay, but if you wouldn't mind loading it into their
Board book?
Their board book, then you would have a larger version of it. So effective school board characteristics, a commitment to a vision of high expectations for all kids is your top priority. You have strong shared beliefs and values about teaching kids. You're accountability driven. You make decisions that are data centered. You align your resources to meet your district goals. You have a collaborative, supportive relationship with the staff and the community. That's not just Lee's job, that's the entire leadership team's job. You take part in team development and training, just like you are here. Some of you mentioned going to like the fall regional workshops. I know some of you new board members went to the new board member workshops, so you take part in professional development. And you lead as a united team with the superintendent, built on collaboration and trust. So lots of research that says how well you carry out your governance responsibility as a leadership team determines the quality of education the children serve. We've all been in situations in communities where there's so much scuttle at the board level that things just seem to be spinning. When you can be united and you can be moving forward, not that you're always agreeing on everything, the education for the kids is going to go up and it's going to improve because you're focusing your efforts in the right place. And I put a picture of your kids graduating there because what greater accomplishment is there for you to be sending out a group of young people into your community, into the state, and into the world who are ready to be compassionate citizens in our global society. So here are a couple of themes. There's 4 themes of good governance. One is that you have a collective commitment and you agree on the direction. Okay, it's not just, oh, these are Lee's goals, or these are the board president's goals, or this is the principal's goals. You have a common direction. You agree on the structures that you're going to have in place. Are they school improvement plans? Are they district improvement plans? I know you have a district strategic plan. You work with the superintendent and you're always looking to continuously improve. Because we all know, just like it says, if you don't know where you're going, just any road may not get you there. This one is sometimes one that challenges people. There's moral imperative. What does moral imperative mean? It means a relentless commitment to the learning of all students, no exceptions. Which means no saying, well, they come from a poverty family and their parents can't support them. No saying, well, they have a special education need, so we shouldn't expect them to achieve at a high level. It is a relentless commitment to the learning of all students with no exceptions. And ultimately, that should be what's directing your vision, your decisions, and your outcomes, so that when you're making a decision, and it's about literacy, I think it was here when you were talking about literacy, how does it affect all kids? The third one is understanding that there is a governance mindset. Sometimes when we have board members get on who have been leaders in other aspects, now I think Chris is a little bit different because he's been in public government as well. When you have been on the United Way board or on the hospital board, number one, usually the CEO chooses who's going to be on the board, and it's usually everybody who thinks the organization is great. That's a little bit different with a school board because you have elected officials and some people may get on a board who are not interested in what's best for all kids. They just are interested in the tax thing. So everybody has some different reasons for getting on the board. The one thing that is helpful is when their experience on a board can start to gel around the many things that are involved with being a board. I used to have people who would get on a board when I was in Oshkosh who we had boundary change. I think I was on 100 boundary change committees and they finally figured it out. But who would get on because, oh, we're going to close our elementary school, and they'd run for the board. And there were a couple of people who got on with just that agenda but they ended up being excellent board members after a while because they decided they were going to do the professional development, they were going to learn about governance, and they were going to do that. And you all know as board members, there's a lot more laws that govern how you behave as a board as well. It's not like the church council where you can have a meeting and then go out in the church parking lot and complain about what happened at the church council meeting, right? Because then all of a sudden we've got a walking quorum and we've got all that stuff going on. And of course, the governance mindset is remembering that accountability and support go hand in hand. You can't hold someone accountable, but then not provide them with the support that they need in order to do their job. And the last one is a focus, a unity of purpose. You know, that you have some core values and beliefs that you all share that are in common about the children, the district, and of course, public education. So effective, powerful governance occurs when the board is operating in a unified, cohesive manner with a unity of purpose driven by that moral imperative of educating all kids. So this is your mission statement. This is your vision statement. I have to give you kudos. Usually people have those flipped around or they have a vision statement that's 2 paragraphs long. You've got it right, okay? And you have core values that are important to your community that you believe in, need to be guiding you. I'm not sure when was the last time that you did this. Does anyone know?
I would say probably like 2017, 18, 19.
So this may be something that when the next time you do your strategic planning, you actually focus an activity on, do we need to revisit this? So that it's reflecting the current status of education, the current status of the world. You may come back and it may be, no, it's still working with us. But it's just like your policies. You should probably do a check on it and say, is it still working with us? There's something we need to have. Last night I was working with a board and they, for some reason, had a value of professionalism and they go, well, that's a given. That shouldn't be something that we, so they were ending up changing some things. So next, you have some Post-its on your table. I want you to think about what are some next steps you need to take as a team. Does your mission, vision, and core values reflect the belief that all children can learn? So I need you to kind of think about that. Does your board believe that all children can learn? If not, what do you think needs to happen? And do all your district staff believe that all children can learn? And if not, what steps do you think need to be taken? So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think about that, and then we'll just popcorn and share some ideas. But you can write your thoughts down, put one idea on a Post-it note, and things like that, because it is rare that people can say 100% of our staff believe that, because we have such a diversity in this. So it may help you to think about, are there some things we need to be much more direct about as we're meeting with our staff or with our parents or with our community? So I'll give you a few minutes to think about that. And I will put this back up there for you, your mission statement, vision, and core values.
Each idea on a separate?
Yeah. Because what we'll do is I'll come around and collect your ideas that you have, and we'll put those in a thing, and then I will type those up and I'll get those to Biff and to Lee to look at and see if there's some things they want to have further discussion with you all at another time. And this is also a good discussion starter for you to be thinking about after you leave the meeting. Are there some things that we could be doing a little bit differently? If any of the questions are answered, no. Okay, I'm gonna give you one more minute, and then if you wouldn't mind putting your Post-its, that if you have any, at the edge of your table, I'm gonna come around and collect them.
Time just flies. The time just flies.
I know it
Can't
does.
do it
I know.
fast enough.
We've got a lot of stuff to get through, but hopefully these are just things to wet the whistle and get you thinking.
Pressure's just tremendous.
So when you make your next decision, oh, let's remember, is this about all kids?
No whistle.
Ready to have.
Okay.
I had laid out about
Oh, yes, thank you, sir. Bless you. Bless your heart. Bill, you're not performing the next couple days, are you?
Maybe?
Friday, Green Day,
Inside, outside?
inside. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's right next to the new 40.
It's right, it's part of a Harley Davidson dealerships.
Okay, now, in your folder, we're gonna go on to some of the governance things. In your folder, you have an activity.
Thank you.
It should look called Drawing the Lines. It's called Levels of Authority. Do you have that in your folder? Okay, that one is real easy, okay? What you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be reading a scenario, and basically, you're just gonna choose. There's no right or wrong answers right now. This is like a pre-test. Is it something that you believe the superintendent has complete authority to decide and act? Is it something that they must inform the board about their actions? Is it something they have to obtain prior approval from you? Or is it something the board makes the final decision themselves, okay? So just go ahead and fill out what you think and hang on to it, because we're gonna be coming back to that after we go through roles and responsibilities.
We just circled. I guess it has to be there.
So this.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to finish up.
Because I just circled.
On the ACT test, C is the answer 33% of the time.
And
So
most
if you- Most exams. So if you don't know, guess C. That's why that would be, that's so bizarre.
I
Okay.
appreciate that, but I'm not taking that test.
Before we go into board roles and responsibilities, who on the board was an avid skydiver until their insurance company found out? You get 3 guesses. Wow.
You mean for real?
For real?
Oh, okay.
That'd be Ann.
Nope,
Keith,
nope.
Yep.
It's not Biff.
Carrie, because he's Canadian.
No, no,
Keith, it's Keith. So, yeah.
really.
So
My brother was,
the airplane company doesn't cover you.
Huh?
The airplane company doesn't cover you.
No, my insurance company, New York Life, dropped me, said, you skydive, we're dropping you.
I want to go skydiving. I gotta find out.
if you only do it once, you sign the
I don't
waiver.
think I put my
Die
name
once.
online, did I?
Okay, let's go on. Board roles and responsibilities. Basically, your roles and responsibilities are in the law, and they come in how you govern yourself. They are in key documents and processes. So your strategic plan, your board policies, the annual budget that you pass, your plan to connect with the community, of course, the district administrator's job description, their contract and evaluation. And then, this is one that not all boards know, but their board's own self-evaluation of how you're doing as a board and what you're choosing to continuously improve on. Basically, it's 3 things: board policy, the superintendent, and being answerable to your community, which is your stakeholders, which is your students, staff, parents, families, community. Section 118 is really where all the board authority lies: educational goals, managing the district, setting the tax levy, making sure educator effectiveness is implemented, and then some very specific ones that may refer to students. Student expulsion, the opening and closing of school, determining certain course credits and things like that. Individual board members have no power. Their only statutory powers or duties as individuals are as part of the board. And Manitowoc, you have board policy 0143 that talks about the authority of individual board members. So I would suggest you read that over. And it does talk about how you are to function as a board. It also gives some specific things for your various board officer roles. Sometimes individual board members think that they can request information directly from staff. There should be a process put in place, and I don't know, Lee, if you've had a chance to talk with them about if they want something like, say, from your HR director, do you prefer that they go straight to the HR director or they come to you and you make the connection? What is your preference?
I'm comfortable either way.
Either way, okay? Just as long as your administrative team knows that.
Right.
That the officers really are the only ones to make requests. So if a board member wants a specific report to be given, they have to ask at a board meeting, I would like to have a report done on this, because the rest of the board has to decide with everything that administrator has to do, is it worth that information for all of us to spend the time, the resources, and whatever to generate this report? If, let's say somebody requests a report and the board says, no, we don't feel that that's an appropriate use of time, they can always do their own public records request, but then it follows along your public records request line. And then the board has the power to grant individual board member requests, but it's only as a board that you can do that. Basically, you model collaboration and mutual respect because you want your community and your kids to see you modeling the skills that you want your kids to be emulating. You focus on end results. You establish policies, and then Lee is in charge of making sure those policies are administered. You select, hire, support, and evaluate the superintendent. And again, you are in charge of the accountability measures. Ensure adequate resources and their management. You ensure that the district is legally and ethically doing what it's supposed to do. You orientate new board members so that they can quickly assimilate into their jobs. Your job is to enhance the school district's public standing out in the community, and of course, doing that board self-evaluation. Talk about open meetings laws, you probably are pretty familiar with that. And of course, the case of avoiding a walking quorum or a negative quorum. Most people understand that, but what people don't sometimes realize is perception is reality. When I was with a rural school board, I had two gentlemen who were farmers, and after each board meeting, they would get together in the parking lot. And I'm almost certain they were talking about their tractors or their crops or something. But a constituent thought they were talking about the board meeting and challenged that they were developing a quorum, a negative quorum. So sometimes you can be perfectly honest and perfectly legit in having a conversation with another board member, but what's the perception of somebody seeing the two of you interact? How do you balance your core values and the board's unity of purpose? Some people will say, well, I represent a certain constituency. They're the ones that got me elected. Well, that may be, but you also represent the entire community when you're on a board. We talked a little bit about having a single agenda and that it's really important to understand that there are many kinds of programs and purposes and agendas. It's not a case of my way or the board's way. When you vote, the board votes as a whole and makes a decision. Even if you voted no, if you were in the minority, your job is to support. And if a constituent would say, well, you voted no, how do you feel about it? Yeah, I had a different perspective, but I'm on the board, we vote as a board, and I'm going to support the board's decision. Thinking about, negative behavior that bothers you about others, next time that the board meeting is televised, watch yourself. Turn off all the volume and watch yourself. Do you have any kinds of behaviors that other people would think, that doesn't come across? Some people are really good about their body language, and others, I can't lie because people see right through me. They know exactly when I'm lying. So, it's really important to know yourself and to know how you come across. And then, of course, are you micromanaging or are you being accountable? And we'll get a little bit more into that later. And then, of course, the confidentiality, which is so important. Not only in your closed session stuff, but in things that come to you, that may be coming to you from Lee about students, the expulsions and things like that. And I often say to boards, anything you discuss that is related to closed session stays in closed session, and it's not even pillow talk. It is something that has to remain sacred to that session and to that discussion. So let's look at superintendent responsibilities. Again,
Question, what do you mean by negative quorum?
negative quorum is that you may be having a discussion with something that might end up being a no against something that will be voted on. So it's you
In a
and,
quorum setting, like 4 people or more.
it may not be 4, it
could
may
be
be
less.
2.
Okay.
But it
what I wanted.
could be seen as influencing a future decision because you've had that conversation with that board member.
Thank you.
Administrator duties, again, are by state law. You have the contract, you have board policies, you have your evaluation, and then you have board directives. Basically, they're in charge of the general supervision and management of the school. They cannot be a member of the school board, nor can they interfere with the operations of the board. So sometimes they think we as superintendents can control everything that happens at the board level, and that's not the case. We cannot interfere with the operation. It's the board president and the board members that are in charge of how that board operates. But they do make recommendations to the board on a variety of things. They lead the organization, they implement policies, they make sure that there's a good organization system. They really should serve as a catalyst for the strategic or long-range planning because they have the understanding of all the different elements of the district. Of course, you want them to be an instructional leader and to be up on your curriculum and what is best practice. They need to be a developer of your other administrators, be able to empower them to do a good job in the work that they do and help guide them with the support that they need. Of course, even though you have a finance director or a business director, they ultimately was where the buck stops when it comes to the budget and the finance. And then they are a relationship builder with students, with staff, with families, with you, and with the community. They supervise and evaluate people. They may be doing their district staff, they may be doing principals. A lot depends on what falls under their auspices. It was always interesting because a lot of business people would have 3 to 4 people that they evaluated underneath them. They would always be surprised when they hear, as a principal, I'd say, teacher. You know, that's a whole different ballgame. And the same thing for superintendents. They assist the board president by helping to develop the board meeting agenda. They're the principal advisor for the board. They answer to the chain of command directly to the board. And of course, they wear, you know, many hats. The thing with the chain of command is that it's very important that everyone from the teachers through parents, through administrators, understand how your chain of command works. And you have that very clear in your board policy. The question I would ask you is, do you have it on the website? Do you have it in your student handbook? Do you have it in your parent handbook? Do you put it out in any newsletters? There, you don't have to put the entire policy, but you should be able to put a couple of sentences that would say, if you have a concern or a complaint, please direct this to the staff member that is most closely involved. If you are unable to resolve, please contact the superintendent. That saves people from coming to you with something that they should have taken to their child's classroom teacher. And it also helps the teachers then realize that if they have something that is not sitting right with them or they need improved, they go to their building principal first. We all know there's going to be situations where they'll feel, I can't talk to this person or whatever. That's where the superintendent comes in and facilitates a conversation. And sometimes they just want people to know. They don't actually want it solved. They just want you to know. So when we look at differentiating your roles and responsibilities, on the left is really what comes under policy. The board looks at the big picture. Why is something important? What are the outcomes? How much is needed? How does it affect us? So basically, you're doing the vision, the mission, the goals, policies, and you're monitoring things. The superintendent with their team decides who's going to implement everything. How is it going to be implemented? When is it going to be reviewed? Where is it going to be enforced? And how will the outcomes be reported back to the board? So you can see in a strategic plan, it's your objectives, action plans, the regulations you have to follow, your procedures, and actually doing the implementation. Board, of course, votes always on things. The superintendent recommends. Sometimes the roles interconnect, and you may have unique situations coming up where it's hard to determine what it's going to be. Budget creation and approval can be everything from a department chair submitting a budget to the business, or to the principal, to the business director, eventually to Lee, and it comes to the board, and the board has some input on how the budget may need to be reduced. Recommending policy may be something where a teacher will say, we really need a policy about cell phones because now cell phones have become an issue. Recommending the hire of new administrators. Board committee work, you may have a committee that meets, like your curriculum committee, and your curriculum person would be at that meeting providing the expert advice. And then, of course, working with the staff if there are any new initiatives or if you're planning a referendum or things like that come up. So we have some scenarios for discussion. And before we get into this, I want you to think about the role of the board. Is it oversight that it's really your job? You're just looking at the big picture? Or are you overstepping from your lane into someone else's lane? Or is it no big deal, really doesn't matter, or it's just not a good idea? So we're going to read, took 3 scenarios, and you have that as oversight or overstepping. Says the board is discussing the upcoming budget process at a work session. A board member brings up that there is no mention of district goals or the strategic plan in the process. They remember that during a WASB workshop presentation, that the budget should be tied to, I did not write this, but I did have somebody choose it, that the budget should be tied to the strategic plan. Oversight or overstep? What does somebody think? Is oversight, is this a question that the board should be addressing? Or,
I personally think they should, because we're involved in the budget process, and if it's not living up to what we're expecting as a board, why are we spending money on it?
okay, anybody disagree with that? Okay, that one is pretty clear. Let's do the next one. Your superintendent recommends retaining a staff member. A board member requests to see the HR file as they do not feel the staff member is thought of as good in the role. When the superintendent denies the request, the board member sends an email to the board demanding they as a board request this information. Oversight or overstep?
It's overstep.
Everybody agree with that?
No. No.
We've had this discussion, you know, when we do our hiring process, and we've actually voted on it, haven't we? That we're talking about who has ultimate hiring authority, and
You have all.
we hire Lee.
Yeah.
Lee hires the people.
Right, right.
That's what he
Yep.
says.
And it's
in
hard because
retaining.
people come to you and they have sometimes some very personal opinions. Now, this is about retaining a staff member. So if the board would decide no to this board member, they can't, could they say to Lee, could you check into this, and are there some improvement things that we could expect from this individual next year?
Sure you could.
Oh, yeah.
That could certainly be put forward by the board. We have some concerns. Lee would look into that and would go ahead and would do that. Lee may also know, because you know, but with Facebook and everything going on, the reality of a staff member having 100% of everybody thinking everything they do is the greatest thing since sliced bread does not happen these days. So you always might have someone who's upset with a decision Lee makes, a decision a principal makes, and chooses to air it out publicly, and then things just kind of take on a life of their own. So yes, it would be overstep, but there would be a way that the board could say, Lee, you know, one of our board members has a concern, can you look into it? And if there are some steps for improvement, will you see that those things are put in place? Yes.
If I even have a person in the community that brings something up to me, and it could be just a rumor or it's a concern, I will still say to that person, I'll get back to the superintendent.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna answer that.
Right.
It's not my position to answer that. I'll say, I'll let the superintendent know. And it could be all fluff, it could be real. It's his job, not my job to
Yeah.
answer that question.
And how many of you currently have kids in the district? Nobody. Okay, well, if you get a board member who has kids in the district, at one time in my school, when I was principal, I had 3 board members who had kids in my school. Okay? So they would come in sometimes as a parent, and even though they would say, well, I'm just a parent, well, no, everybody else sees you as a board member. I would say to them,
It's muddy water.
okay, you're telling me you did not get the request in for your child's teacher on time. Are you asking me as your board member hat if I followed the district policy? Or are you asking me with your parent hat that you want some special consideration? And I would always say to them, I need to know what hat you're wearing. Because they should always assume people look at them with your highest level of authority, which would be your board member hat on and that sort of things. Okay, last one. Due to retirement, there is an opening in the district. The superintendent begins the process as is noted in your HR procedures. A board member indicates that he or she wants to be involved in the process as they want to give their input into the hiring. Oversight or overstep?
Overstep.
Okay. One thing you may want to make sure is I did work with a board where the board felt that when an administrator was being hired, and this was a small district, that one board member would at least be part of the interview team. Not that they made the decision or anything like that. It was interesting because they only cared about the principals. Anybody else that I hired, nobody was interested in being part of the team. But we had that as part of our policy, that was, but it did not mean that somebody could sit in on a teacher interview or a para interview or something like that. So anyway, those are just things. Now, I gave Biff and Lee a packet of like 15 different scenarios. And sometime, if you want to, if you're doing another retreat or a workshop, you could certainly have one of those things that lots of times they actually ring true to something you might be dealing with in the district. It's good sometimes to have that vocabulary, oversight or overstepping. I had a board member that became very comfortable with that and would ask me a question and say, now, tell me honestly, is this my oversight or do you think I'm overstepping? I really appreciated that because we could have that conversation then about that.
Can I go back to number one?
Yeah.
I think we agreed it was an oversight. I
Yes.
think we heard that. My concern is that may come up, the board member may look like they're criticizing the business director who's presenting that budget.
Oh,
And I think just the way this is worded, it could look almost like you're not doing your job. And I think there's a legitimate concern there. So it could be as simple as saying, help me understand how some of this spending is going to, in
Yeah.
budget, in the 110 budget or the 3, whatever, the technology budget. Help me understand how that matches what we've been working on.
right.
The strategic plan. To me, then I'm not overstepping. I'm just saying, help me understand the big picture.
Yeah, and I think so much of it, we all know, comes in how we put forth the request, right? There's a right way and a not so good way to do it, and you're absolutely right. There's a way to do that that actually still preserves the dignity of the person that's doing the presentation.
And my guess is the business director probably could spew that out for me.
Right.
And so I'm giving him or her the opportunity to say, as a matter of fact, right?
Yeah.
And
But
so then it looks more like I'm not criticizing them in front of everybody.
But you're also helping the superintendent know that eventually it comes down to him and he may need to say before it even gets to the board next time, oh, this is really important. We need to make sure that all of your reports are representing that, and that sort of thing. Okay, now I want you to go back to that levels of authority that we just did and take a second look at it. And are there any changes you would make to some of the answers? This is just for your own perusal. Are there any that you would change? Or any that you would have questions about that you would like to have the group maybe chat about?
I'd be interested in what are the correct answers as a board member.
Yeah.
The exact answers?
Yes, what are the correct
I
answers?
do have an answer key, but I will tell you that this is just what usually happens sometimes in these situations. Sometimes in these situations, it really is a combination. I was working with a new superintendent and their board, and the superintendent said something about signing a contract, and it was about signing a contract for something. And in her previous district, it had to go to the board. And this board said, oh no, we're comfortable with you signing it. And she said, I would rather that I bring it to the board. It would give me more peace to know that you were aware and you authorize a thing. So some of those things sometimes end up being in the middle. But right now, I'm just gonna give you and some of them could be either. Number 1 is C. 2 could be A or B, depending on the district and how you do things. 3 could be B or C, depending on how you do things. Number 4 is D. Number 5 is B. Number 6 is A. 7 could be C or D. 8 is C. 9 is C. We go with our C's. 10 is B. 11 is B. 12 is C.
We only went to 11.
Oh, you only, okay, I shortened it up for you. Okay, okey-doke. So, again, those are conversations to have. So really, your continuum of board leadership goes from empowerment, where the board delegates as much as possible to Lee and his administrative team, to micromanagement, where board delegates very little and remains involved in daily activities, or the middle, the board decides what to delegate to whom and how to monitor. A good example of this, and I'm going to give you the county that I last served in as a superintendent, we had 4 schools. One, the one I was with, said to me, do a survey when it came time for COVID, and are we going to have buses running, and are we going to have school, and what are we going to do? Do a survey with parents. Ask them these questions and any others you can think of, and then design the plan and bring it back to us based on honoring the majority of the parent responses. So we were in session every single day. We had sports, because that was, but we didn't have everybody riding our buses, even though everybody is transported. But we honored what? It still allowed parents who didn't want to have their kids in school, be at home because we would do the technology, whatever. Another board in the county said, we will make the decision on everything. We're going to make a decision at what percentage kids go home. We're going to make the decision on this. They were very hands-on. So, but it was a unique situation that districts had never been in before. And you may come across some of those where you really have to sit there and think about what's going to be the Manitowoc way. How are we going to handle it? And then that your public is clear. That your public is clear that in my district, the board was not going to be giving them percentages and doing all of that. They were entrusting our administrative team to do that. But in another district, it was going to be managed by the board. So that's just an example. The other thing to think about, if sometimes we're very passionate about something and we may get into something that could be viewed as micromanaging, is always think from a board perspective. Think about when you're sitting in your doctor's office, okay? And you're talking with your doctor about some ailment you have or something, some health concern. Who do you want to get your advice from? The medical doctor who's right in front of you, or the hospital board chair who comes into the board meeting and tells the doctor how to do their job? Think about that.
Yeah.
That's the overlook you should be having as a board, working with Lee as the superintendent, okay? Who's the expert in this? How can I let the expert do their job? So you mutually agree on a focus, you mutually agree on your roles and responsibilities, and you build that collaborative relationship. This was actually the chair of one of the school boards in North Carolina who said the most powerful and essential job for a school board is to provide a school district with clear direction toward expected outcomes, regularly monitor progress towards goals, model a culture of accountability, support continuous improvement, and let the professionals do the work they've been hired to do. And that goes all the way down. It goes for principals, allowing teachers, empowering their teachers, Lee empowering his principals with support, empowerment with support. So you may want to think about, as a board, we're not going to do this activity because I want to be able to honor everyone's time. You may want to think about, are there some areas where you may want to have some further discussion? Or would a common vocabulary like overstepping, oversight, would that help you in certain situations? That's totally up to you as a board. So the board superintendent relationship, Lots of research has been shown that when it is strong, and I know that some of you that were on the interview teams wanted to know, how do we make sure that this superintendent stays with us? It's all built on the relationship you build with your superintendent and the support you give to your superintendent. And when you have a strong board superintendent relationship, student achievement will go up because you're spending your time on the right things. You'll have an improved staff morale and district culture, and you'll be successfully modeling for kids and the staff and the community the behaviors you want your kids to be exhibiting. An effective board superintendent leadership is prepared. They're professional, they're fair and objective, honest and open, comprised of team players representing diversity, which you definitely showed tonight. You're respectful of others' times, and no surprises. That has to be from Lee's staff as well. They shouldn't be coming to a meeting and laying something on your laps that you have no idea about. You should be having that information ahead of time. If you get your board packet and you have a question, call Lee, or he said one of his administrators, and say, I'm going to ask this question at the board meeting, and I'm wondering if you could, have an answer ready. Because if people are watching your board meeting and they hear you ask a question and the administrator says, well, I'll have to go back and get you that information, they're never going to be benefiting from that information, because it probably is going to be a month later before your next board meeting, and you may not even talk about the answer to that thing. That administrator would probably get back to that board member or to the entire board. Same thing goes for the administration coming forward. There shouldn't be any surprises from them. And that really helps to build trust. Yes?
Yeah, this is a little like when I took Economics 101, that, things work under more or less ideal conditions, but, in the current times, there's often like serious ideological differences of values and goals. And it's pretty difficult for a board to relate and under those circumstances. So I don't know what, I don't know if there's a handbook for that.
Yeah, always, one board member who's very seasoned said you always tie it back to the kids. Always make it about the kids. Get the adult viewpoint out of the way and get the adults out. Always tied back, how does this affect all kids? And once you do that, it levels the playing field. Because people can have different opinions, but we're talking about all kids. How does this come back to all kids? And of course, this is about attitudes, and attitudes can, their accumulation of many thoughts and feelings. We all know, like I said, watch yourself at a board meeting, see if there are some unbiased things that you have. And there's an activity that usually works. However, every time you have an activity that works, then there's going to be the chance that it doesn't work. So I need a volunteer who's very strong and can put their arm out and hold it out, and they think they're very strong. Who wants to be my volunteer?
I'll do it, because otherwise we'll sit here too long.
Okay.
Decisive.
Request.
Okay.
That way.
Okay, I want you to, we're gonna do an activity about, and it's not voodoo or anything like that. There's lots of research that actually says that there are times, and I know I've had it as a superintendent, or I've had it as a principal or a teacher, when you walk into a room that you just sense a negative vibe. Nobody's saying anything, nobody's doing anything, but there probably are some negative vibes going on. And how does that affect that person's ability to really contribute? If they're, or when they're talking, you're thinking, well, there he goes again, he's off on his band, how does that impact your ability to work as a group? So I want you to turn around, put one of your arms out, hold it really, really strong. Okay? I'm gonna try to pull it down. Got it?
Yep.
And I'm a farm girl, so I should be able to do this. Okay, stay right there.
Okay.
Don't turn around. I'm gonna give you two signals. With this signal, I want you to think only positive things. Be positive things about him. It can be things that don't even have anything to do with them. Wow, you're a wonderful bowler. You know, just everything is positive, no negative, only positive. If I give you this signal, the complete opposite. Everything's negative. It could be negative things that you've experienced. It's just everything is negative, okay? Are you ready? This is positive, this is negative. We'll see if it works. Okay. Number one, it's power of attitude, okay? Are you all doing it?
Do the arm again.
Yes, do your arm. They're gonna keep thinking.
Okay.
Oh, it's even stronger. Okay? Well, he's stronger than what I think. I don't know. This may not work this time. Let's try it again. Okay, arm out. Ugh. Okay, I don't know. We're gonna try one more time. We'll do it one more time. And if that doesn't work, then this is the one time that it didn't work.
Sorry.
Okay, arm out.
Oh.
All I need to say. Okay, we're gonna go on. So we want to move from I to we. Think of your schools. You have teams, you have bands, you have classes. When do they accomplish the most? Yes, they may have individuals that go on and do individual things at the state level, but they are successful as a team. Okay, so David, since you were a participant, the first two times, they only thought positive thoughts.
The first two times.
The third time it was negative.
Interesting.
Okay,
Not about you.
not, it was just negative.
Not negative.
Negative
Well,
thought.
now we don't know that for sure.
I know me. I know you.
I tell people I taught high schoolers I've been thought about poorly before.
But here at community, and you know, the same thing goes, I'm gonna challenge you, the same thing goes if you have public forum and you have somebody who always comes up. We had a gentleman in Oshkosh that went to city council meeting every single time, you know. Pretty soon the city council, you could just tell by the body language, oh, here he comes again, you know. But how does that person feel that they're being listened to if that's the negative energy that they're experiencing? So the board's expectations with the superintendent, I'm sure, Lee, because you've been on board, that you've talked about, you told me how you meet with the board members. You have information in your board policies, but one thing you did not have in your board policy that I think you may want to consider putting in is Neola's board policy 3000, professional staff. There's one for professional staff in Paris, which is on board staff communications. I didn't see that on your website.
That's correct.
And it's very specific as to how the staff communicates with the board, how the board communicates with staff and the social interaction. I'm not saying you have to, I just noticed that in a lot of the other districts I work with, that's there, and then it gets referenced in their employee handbook. And it just makes things a lot easier, because then people understand that chain of command thing and how that works. Same thing, I think, Lee, you probably have shared with your board expectations that you have for communication and things like that. Sometimes if we're doing this in July and the new superintendent has just started, those conversations haven't even taken place. But it's always to keep those things in mind. Chain of command, this is what I talked about before. Like I said, you have Neola policy 3112, but you may want to put a shortened version into your student handbook, your parent handbook, staff handbook, on website and newsletters and things like that. And of course, you still have your grievance policy. So if a staff member has something that really has to do with discipline or their employment, your grievance policy addresses that. But everything else should be going through the chain of command. Leadership norms. Like I said, you have a policy that talks about code of conduct. Norms are usually agreed upon standards of behavior, and they describe how you treat one another. There's a set of understandings of how you will act in a meeting, and norms are actually a good way to hold each other accountable. Sometimes I've worked with boards. We do have a webinar on the WASB website that says how you can go through a process to set norms. Sometimes I've been asked to come out and do norms with a board. Sometimes the norms are very specific. Like we worked with one district where the lady had her cell phone. She was a single parent, and she would always have her cell phone at the meeting, and she'd be checking it to see if her kids had called. And one of the citizens in the community thought that she was reporting things from the board to this person in the community. Again, perception's reality. So what the board came up with is that the administrative assistant would keep her phone there, and if the phone went off, then she would let the board president know. They'd stop the meeting for 5 minutes so the parent could take the call and that stuff. So sometimes it's just little things like that that need. They had another situation where a board member was not reading the board packet. And of course, we go through what are some of the issues and then how can we put it into a norm. It was a brand new superintendent, and the young man said, I have 4 kids at home. I work Monday through Friday. He said, on the weekend, we are busy doing family things. And he said, and we get the board packet on Thursday night. I just don't have time to look at the board packet. So the superintendent said, well, I've just always done the board packet on Thursday night because that's the way the other superintendent did it, and that's what the administrative assistant. Do you mean you want it earlier? He goes, can we have it earlier? She said, I can have it to you on Tuesdays, except if there's like a business report that might come a little bit later. Problem was solved. Here, the rest of the board thought he wasn't being a good board member because he was never reading his packet. It was just, it didn't work anymore. So when you do your organizational meetings every April, it's good to revisit that sort of stuff. You know, is it still okay the board packet comes out on this day? Is it still working for me as superintendent to meet with you individually? Just, you know, think about the Green Bay Packers. They don't just assume that all the rookies coming in know everything about the Green Bay Packers. They have to go through and review all of those things again, do their own norms because it's a whole different team. And even though your board may not change, you have people in your district that change. So it's always a new team that you're bringing together. I gave you some examples. Here are some examples. You have principles for your board meetings, but they're more like what people typically have in policy. So you may want to look at those, and are there some things you really need to be more specific about? Here are some examples of board norms, and I actually gave, I think I gave you all samples of some other districts and their board norms so that you can see, you know, some of the things. And again, periodically reviewing that once a year to say, is that still working for everything? Is a good thing to do. So an effective team, as we said, is prepared, professional, objective, fair, honest, and open, honors time, and is trustworthy, because how people feel about you is based on how much they trust you. It's all about relationships, communication, and trust. So we're going to get into the last 2 things, board self-evaluation. I checked, and the last time that the Manitowoc School Board did the annual school board development tool, which looks at all aspects across the district, and you are asked individually to say, yes, we're doing that, or not sure, or we need to start doing it. It gives you a feel for how your board is performing compared to other districts that do it. Was about 15 years ago. It's free for you. Most boards do it once a year. It really is a good assessment. I worked with a board where the new board member said, put in their thing, we never talk about curriculum, and we were debriefing. Well, the reason why they didn't talk about curriculum is curriculum was coming up in the next board meeting. And they didn't realize that that was coming up, and it would be a great big, the whole board meeting would be focused on it. So what that board decided to do was to put together a yearly agenda. So anybody coming onto the board would know this is when curriculum gets dropped. This is when we start budget discussions, and they had some kind of a timeline. So I would encourage you, at the regional meeting in fall, Ben Niehaus will be talking about it. So will the rest of us consultants. It is free to you as a school board. If you want a report or from WASB, or if you want a consultant to come out and help you go through your results and help you set some governance goals, that is for a fee. But it's a great opportunity for you to get a collective feel about how are we doing in different areas. You don't fill it out as a single board, you fill it out as individual board members. So you really do get different perspectives. So I would encourage you to do that. It'll come out like in an email, I think probably to Lori and to Biff and to Lee. However, if you all wanted to do it yet this summer, all you have to do is contact Ben at WASB, and he can have school perception set it up, and you could be taking it this summer and be on your way. So it's up to you. This is the annual board tool, just says what it is. Like I said, it's available at no cost to you. And it's just a questionnaire. It's an online questionnaire that you fill out in a survey format. And then we're gonna get to the superintendent evaluation. And basically your superintendent evaluation in the state law says that you have to be evaluating the superintendent on observations of their work. It doesn't mean that you're going around shadowing him, but it was developed about 4 years ago, and then we got feedback from superintendents and boards that it was very cumbersome, that some of the criteria were like 9 different things they had to rank in one question. It was like the superintendent creates, develops, and models the vision, mission, and core values in the district. That's 9 different things. So we worked last summer and we came up with 4 descriptors instead of 14 for each of the standards. They are all descriptors that the board itself should be able to say, I witnessed it or I know this about Lee's performance. And it also references the legal requirements. So I'm going to have Lori click on this. This is on the website. You all have access to it on the WASB website. You log into the website, you go under services and resources, then you go to governance, then you go to superintendent evaluation framework, and then you slide over and you click on access the framework. You will see a resource manual, so you see training videos, and you'll see a template. Lee and I talked, and because he's been with you since last October, right?
Yeah.
We did not feel that being a first-year superintendent was appropriate for him, because he's already has surveyed the community, he's already been on board and done a lot of the things that you would be evaluating a brand-new superintendent who's never been a superintendent before. So that's why we're going to suggest that you do the beyond first-year superintendent evaluation, and we recommend it being done on an annual basis. So Lori, if you wouldn't mind clicking on that.
On the beyond first years?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Patty, I just want to say, I'm on a pill. So that's why I have.
That's okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
Usually I'm running like that too, but I didn't very much today. So this is also on the website. Is it not coming up now? Oh, good thing we have our technology guy here.
Eddie, while they're troubleshooting, you mentioned standards. What standards?
It's the administrative standards. You'll see them in here. It's that, just like there are teacher standards at the state level, these are the administrative standards. Yep.
I think there's 11?
I think so.
11 standards?
I think so.
So you
So
will,
we're gonna do the, beyond the first year superintendent evaluation?
Right.
Okay.
right. And it will be easy, even if you don't get onto the WASB website, don't worry, because Lee will be taking the first step and he will be presenting his stuff as a self-evaluation, and then you will get a link from WASB that you just click on and you can fill out the information.
Will we see his self-evaluation?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you will see his, everything, yep.
And how many times during the year do we fill
You do it once a year, however, we recommend that you at least do it twice a year, like mid-year. he sits down and he doesn't do a report or anything, but he just says how things are going and his goals. You have a chance to ask questions. He may say, I need support in this area, but then the written report comes at the end.
Patty, my understanding from, because I went to the workshop last year, I think the three of us, that from that understanding, if there was something really good after a board meeting, I can go in and log and say, hey, this one I thought was really, really good. So we as board members, we can go into that site and we can log all the time, no?
No, that was with the old one, but the old one, you couldn't print out anything and it didn't summarize anything.
Okay, so if something happens, we take our own notes and then at that halftime here, we log it.
You could log it in. Yes, you could log it in. So is it not working?
No, I was just waiting for you to.
Oh, go ahead.
Welcome to the online training module for the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, also known as WASB, Beyond First Year Superintendent.
Yes, exactly.
He's not supposed to share his pills.
An evaluation framework. I am Cheryl Stinsky, a WSB governance team member. Along with my governance team colleagues, Kelly Thompson and Patty Vickman, we are going to give you what you need to best accomplish evaluating your beyond first year superintendent.
So it's very short.
The objective of this training video is to review the purposes of evaluation and to familiarize the board and superintendent with the WSB evaluation, superintendent evaluation framework when using it to evaluate the superintendent who is beyond their first year with the district and/or beyond their first year as a superintendent. An effective governance and leadership team is based on the need for a strong board-superintendent partnership. This partnership should be fundamentally grounded in mutual respect and an understanding that while the roles of the board and superintendent differ, the board and superintendent must be unified in ensuring that there is a commonly held focus on high levels of achievement and development for all children. The evaluation of the superintendent should contribute to the strengthening of this partnership. The evaluation process should provide a continuous feedback loop that includes the opportunity for engagement, encouragement, and feedback, as well as to address issues regularly. And just as there exists an expectation that our staff will continue to grow in their roles in service of children, the board and superintendent must model in all they do the importance of their own growth. To this end, the ultimate purpose of the board's role in evaluating the superintendent rests in ensuring growth for the superintendent and considers the strengths of the superintendent as well as opportunities for improvement. Now we are going to focus on the process for evaluating the beyond the first year superintendent. This evaluation is designed for the individual who has served as a superintendent for at least 1 year. However, you might also use this for experienced individuals who are new to the district. The evaluation of the superintendent should be a collaborative process involving the full board and superintendent that focuses on the development and growth of the superintendent. The key expectations for a beyond first year superintendent are based on the administrator leadership standards identified in this training and in the reference manual, the job description, and current superintendent goals. While it is required to complete an annual evaluation in the first year and at least every third year thereafter, we recommend to complete an evaluation annually. For feedback to be meaningful, it should be provided on an ongoing basis, in part through an annual evaluation. This reflects the value of continuous improvement, which this evaluation framework endorses. Because board members and priorities can change, it is important to have the opportunity for growth conversations annually and to have a well-established and continuous record of evaluation for the benefit of the superintendent and the board. Patty Vickman is now going to walk you through the steps of the Beyond the First Year Superintendent Evaluation process.
The goal-setting process assists the board and superintendent in setting the superintendent's goals, which should align to the leadership standards, district goals, and the strategic plan. Please view the online goal-setting process training video on the website to assist you with this process. There should be at least 2 evaluation meetings a year. One should be mid-year and formative in nature. The mid-year review is less formal and is a collaborative conversation about how the year is going thus far, progress being made on goals, and to determine if any assistance or support is needed with the goals. The summative evaluation is more formal, results in a written evaluation report based on the standards, the goals, and the job description, and should occur either in December/January or in May/June, depending on the yearly cycle for the superintendent's evaluation. The summative evaluation begins with the superintendent completing a self-evaluation process, responding to the administrator leadership standards and job description using the WASB online survey tool. The superintendent then provides their self-evaluation, goal outcomes, and accompanying artifacts as evidence in a closed session at a meeting at least 2 months prior to the board's summative evaluation meeting. After the superintendent has provided their self-assessment in a closed session of the board meeting, board members should assess the work of the superintendent by responding to the administrative leadership standards and job description using the WASB online tool or a hard copy which is then entered into the online tool. As part of completing the rubrics, observation-related information should be provided. Listed here are the leadership standards by which the superintendent will be evaluated. Let's look at just a few of them. Number 1, mission, vision, and core values. Number 4, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And number 8, meaningful engagement. Here is a sample showing the first set of rubrics to be scored. The board and superintendent will score the same set of rubrics. You will rate each statement as highly effective, minimally effective, ineffective, or don't know. And you can see that the definition of each rating is included before the definition of the standard and the statements to be scored. It is not necessary to include comments and/or observations of strengths or comments and/or observations of opportunities for improvement for each standard. However, if you rate any indicator as minimally effective or ineffective, please explain this rating in question 3, comments and/or observations of opportunities for improvement. To finish up this training, Kelly Thompson is going to share information about the summative report and summative evaluation meeting, along with the goal-setting process and some helpful resources to keep you on track in the process. The resource manual is online, so you could just download it and share it with the board, and then they can see it in the larger print.
Superintendents and the board members' responses from WASB. A closed session should be convened to review the summary report and to write a final summative evaluation. The evaluation itself will represent the consensus view of the entire board. Any outlying comments will be provided by the individual board member in the evaluation meeting with the board, but will not be included in the evaluation document itself. The final written summative report is subject to public records laws. In a closed session, the written summative evaluation is shared with the superintendent and a discussion of priorities for goal setting begins. A sample template of the written summative evaluation is provided in the reference manual. The superintendent prepares a draft goal-setting plan and shares the plan for board feedback before finalization. The district checkpoint dates form, which is completed by the district in the beginning of this process and returned to the WASB governance team member, sets the superintendent evaluation timeline for this evaluation cycle. An implementation checklist is included in your reference manual to show you step by step what needs to happen and who needs to do what actions. It starts with the purchase or renewal of the superintendent evaluation framework and ends with the superintendent goal setting for the coming year. If you would like to review a sample survey, the instructions are listed here. We'll now enter the sample survey to give you a chance to see what the survey looks like. When you click your district's unique link, this intro slide appears. After reading the overview, click Next and review the instructions. Then enter your name and choose board member or superintendent. Then answer no to the question, is the superintendent being evaluated in the first year of their role? Then click Next. Then begin evaluating each standard by rating each indicator and supplying any comments regarding strengths and opportunities for improvement. You'll see each standard, standard 3, standard 4, and one of the indicators are listed, and you rate each one of those. Standard 7, professional community, standard 8, meaningful engagement. You get to 9, it's operations and management. 10 is district continuous improvement. And 11 is the leadership aligned to the current job description, and that's an open-ended comment box. Then you can click Next, and you'll be able to select yes and submit the survey. And please note that you can also click the box, send me a copy of my responses via email. You can include your email and then press done. If you have any questions about the Beyond the First Year Superintendent Evaluation Framework, please contact either Patty Bickman or Kelly Thompson. On behalf of myself, Cheryl, Patty, and the WASB organization, thank you for taking the time to view this training video to help you complete the Beyond the First Year Superintendent Evaluation, and especially for all that you do for your students, your staff, and your community. This concludes the training for the Beyond the First Year Superintendent Evaluation Framework.
Just a couple of points. The resource manual, which we can download and send to you so you have a hard copy of everything. When you enter your name is not tied to a specific comment that you make. It's just for us to know that you took the survey. Because about 5 days before the survey ends for the board, Biff will get an email from us that will say, Carrie took it, Keith took it, and so took it, but these people have not. And then he can remind them, remember the deadline's coming up. The checkpoints form where you fill out when you want the survey sent and what the board meeting is, the best is to decide when it is you want the final evaluation written and then go backwards. In the video, it says January to December or July to June. We have found we had about 50 new districts come on board since January that took the survey this spring. And what we found is there's a number of districts that do their evaluation April 1st to March. And the reason why they do it is because it then is the board that's worked with that superintendent for the year. Otherwise, if you wait till June, at least this was their thinking, if they wait till June to do it, there's new board members on and they don't know enough about it. So since Lee started around April, you all can have a discussion about what you think is the best timeline for you to have. And then as soon as you send me that checkpoint, we put it in our system, and then about 2 weeks prior, we send Lee a thing that says, here's your survey link. You can start going. And we have either Kelly or I walk your district through every single step of the process. So it's all taken care of. Board presidents have really liked it because the old system, they had to take everybody's copy and they had to summarize everything, and they had to tally everything up. This will be all done. The report you get will have Lee's stuff, and side by side will be the board's, averaged rating and everything like that. Plus, we provide you with a sample report that then can become the public record and that sort of thing. So, so with that, I want to honor your time. Please know I'm available if you have any questions or anything like that. I had you do these things, so we're quick gonna do this as an ending. Who had a tryout for the Canadian Olympic team?
Carrie.
Okay, what sport?
That was a half mile.
Wow.
Who has a twin brother?
You know.
Who has a twin brother?
I do.
Mary.
Yeah.
Who has a motorcycle license and drives a Harley?
Mary.
A motorcycle license, but no Harley.
Oh.
Lori.
Really?
Yeah, the girl.
Whose favorite date day is Road America Vintage Races?
Ooh,
Wow.
Yep.
that would be.
Ann? Who played college basketball?
Biff.
Okay. Whose first job was picking rocks on a farm at 12 years of age?
No.
Nope,
It was in
Dad would love that.
it's Lee.
They
You
only,
and I have a lot in common. I spent picking rocks from 6 years old on all the time. We'll have to talk about that sometime. And we miss David. His first car's name was Shirley. So anyway, did you not get yours?
I don't care.
Oh.
Oh, you didn't get it?
Keith, David, Lee, maybe I put it back here. Sorry, Ann, Lori, Mary. Oh, here it is. I turned it over. Sorry about that.
The more
Well,
interesting
now we all get to
side.
guess.
Oh,
The more interesting side is the blank side. to be
Guess who
quite
it is.
honest with you.
He has no depth perception.
Whoa.
Works on roofs.
I have no
Oh, my
depth
God.
perception. I've worked on roofs my whole life, never bothers me.
Okay, you have a check, you have a exit ticket in your folder that I would really like you to fill out because it's gonna help Lee and Biff if there are some things that you feel need further discussion. It also helps me if there were things that were helpful, were not helpful. In order to get your M&Ms, you have to turn in your exit, okay? And then I thank you for inviting me back out.
Thank you.
it's always good to see you.
So,
I do.
Then does she give it to, because I.
No, I type them up.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I type them up.
And it gets back to Lee and Biff?
Whichever one you want. I know here I have to bring both.
so I'm going to,
Close the meeting.
close the meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Before I do that, I'll thank Patty for coming and doing this today.
Okay.
And I'm gonna thank you guys, Starhay, because I think we're learning a lot and we're just gonna make the district keep plowing ahead.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good job.
Absolutely.
Good job.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Proud of this board. So, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I did.
Shaw?
Yep.
I'm gonna second it.
Second to Ann. All those in favor of skydiving with Keith?
Yep.
Adjourning, say aye. Opposed, say no.
No,
We are adjourned.
we don't jump out of a perfectly functional.
I don't need them.
Okay.